people think in the West, impossible for Russian state to become a really open Western democracy or not. And the other question is related to solar energy, for example, which my colleague Sato mentioned in Brazil. And I would like if you can develop a little bit deeper this subject, looking at Brazil, the extension of the country, the number of hours of sunshine.
No, this is the subject of tomorrow.
But he was talking about that.
Yeah.
So, if you don't mind. But I just pick up this to question also Professor Sato about the energy policies in Brazil and the ecological impacts of this. And I will be back tomorrow. Okay.
Professor Michael, you mentioned in your presentation about the lack of international cooperation in science and technology among the BRICS countries. My first question is, what are the reasons for this distance? And what are the reasons for this distance? Why don't we do international cooperation, in your opinion? What strategies could we implement to overcome this problem? And if it is worthy to implement these strategies and think about an approximation between the BRICS countries in science and technology. Regarding the benefits, which are the benefits we could have from this cooperation?
Okay.
I really enjoyed the panels. Lots of information and bubbling, especially so long. I thought Professor Iti was very interesting because he was cynical the whole way through, but right at the very end, he said we have to learn from the BRICS to learn about ourselves in Brazil. And so my question is not the fact that we are just sitting here talking to Russians, talking to Indians, talking to Chinese, and talking to South Africans, a real sign that something is changing. So that would be the first question. And then I was thinking, as I was listening to Professor Van's absolutely inspiring but sometimes mystifying talk, and I was thinking about the World Social Forum. It was not the marginal people who were there, but it was another type of way of trying to stir up a different worldview. So it seems to me, what would be the relation between what you have characterized as in India, the World Social Forum, and then we can go to Davos, which I think would be, okay, that's the center of the old world power. So I'd just like to some reflection on that, please. And this is not only got sociologists in this meeting, it's got anthropologists and others, so please come back at some stage. You know, so.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, so let's start the same order. So,
Professor, we have one more question, can we?
oh, yeah.
Just to Professor Michael Khan, with regard to social capital, South Africa producing social capital, I think the point he has not covered is the plight of the universities in South Africa. Why are all of the students coming from Africa to South Africa? I mean, the condition in South African universities, I hate to say this, we've got a corporatist model. Although it is a public institution, low resource levels, historically advantaged universities benefit better as compared to historically disadvantaged universities. So how do you, I mean, is it because what it calls South Africa it has just created this new aura of emerging democracy, of leadership, etc., and some kind of social prestige that these students are coming to South Africa? Or is it really that we are producing a very high level of knowledge?
So, just answering questions whether G20 decisions are politically driven or economically driven. Just for the side of Russia, just I would say that it's true. For a long period of time, our position and our just dialogue in G20 was very cautious, because we can't accept it seriously. All our so-called extra agenda during all this time, it varies from energy safety and some anti-corruption measures and etc. All our offers and proposals were just set on the table and not included in the final decisions. That's why we'll just. I think that it is just this year was a kind of a breath of fresh air. I will just have an opportunity to listen to some during some meetings and workshops or just held in Moscow, and there was a kind of atmosphere that it was just totally driven by business, but not by politics, by business and business concerns. Just a kind of a challenge for G20. Mainly, the most decisions were prepared in discussions, and it was not the political will. It was the need, very urgent need from both policy and policy implications. That's why I would say that today we take G20 as an opportunity, not as another platform for discussion, but an opportunity to stress our concerns, to maybe articulate our interest, because it's growing power, and we'll just feel it's really growing power in the context of global problems, especially in the economic sphere and dynamically changing economic landscape where business ruling and business will set their standards and new rules of a global game.
Let me begin by confessing, I think democracy is the only comparative advantage India has. And I mean it genuinely and seriously. Because I think to a certain extent what we're trying to see is we are raising questions about democracy in a new sense. And the question we're really asking is a very simple one. What is the genocidal quotient of development? How many people are ready to eliminate for the rest to be middle class? I think this is a genuine question. There is no flatlands in it. What I'm trying to say is diversity. So far we've put a lot of emphasis on liberty and equality. Diversity gives me the variety of ecological gradients within which different groups can survive. I want to take your point more. But first let me point out something. I spent 20 years studying innovation chains. Then I looked at the silences of innovation chains. Why is it no innovation chain, and this includes the latest idiot document from IDS, ever looks at obsolescence, displacement? What are the invisible notions that innovation chains don't talk about? And I think what I'm trying to talk about is a different kind of storytelling, because democracy is a different kind of storytelling. You're hoping that many of these storytellers survive. Now, let me take your question. The presentation might be flat, but what I'm really trying to show is that it's only the diversities of knowledge and the varieties of ecology that can guarantee democracy. Let me take a simple question. Since you're an energy expert, and I also spent 10 years studying energy, the Indian state, as planning metaphor, was constructed out of energy. The work of Meghnad Saha and energy experts. But look at the kind of energy they talked about. Nuclear energy, thermal energy, it's like a standard science textbook. And then you come to the last part, other forms of energy. Firewood, the poor man's energy, cow dung. Is science only going to work on the formal forms of energy? Or is the informal forms of energy going to be a part of the democratic and scientific imagination? It's that kind of silence that I'm worried about. I mean, your choice of problems, to a certain extent, is determined by the nature of the democratic solution you're offering. And I think this is going to be very important for India. I mean, I think we're realizing something. While we're going to have a middle class which is the size of Europe, we have started eliminating quietly huge sections of our population through disasters, through dam projects, through riots, which have become the second biggest form of displacement. Riot displacement is already about 10 million people.
Riot?
Yeah, the organized violence. And I'm really interested in the organized forms of violence from obsolescence, displacement, to these kind of things. To me, corruption, terror and violence are the other kinds of economy BRICS don't talk about. Terms of trade is terrific. Give me your terms of violence. And that's really what I'm interested in. I wish I were skeptical, but sitting in the margin, even skepticism seems an optimism movie. Let's take this issue. If you look at the Indian debates on biotechnology, who cheated? The scientists. The scientists copied from Monsanto documents and presented it to the people. It was the social movements that actually went back and brought the biotechnology imagination to a different kind of debate with the help of dissenting scientists. I think that wider debate where science is, the whole question of debates has to be brought back into the innovation chain. And I think that becomes crucial. Incidentally, I was a part of the South African team that went to Salzburg in the beginnings during the Truth Commission. I mean, they had to hire someone to fight Manuel Castells. So they hired me, incidentally. And the thing that we try to point out to Castells is, he confuses information and knowledge. An innovation chain in the way you describe it, and I'm afraid your sociology brought it out in a different way, is too bold to understand the history and politics of violence around science and technology. That's going to be a major issue. And what civil society in India does is to foreground the violence of science and technology without being anti-scientific in that sense. So there's no flat line. I think what I'm really trying to emphasize is it's the multiplicity of ecological gradients that demands scientific choices which are ethical choices. Let me illustrate this quickly. Madhav Gadgil, one of the outstanding ecologists we have had, wanted a classification of India into no-grow and grow regions. That is, you decide some sectors will not be touched by the growth model with all its imperiousness. He was witch hunted, though he's one of the finest ecologists we had. We have to use this kind of model to protect tribals. You know, when the head of the planning commission was told about the death of one of India's biggest waterfalls in Orissa, the guy didn't understand what was going on. As a former World Bank official, he's a bloody illiterate. His name is Monte Kalwalia. I think there is something that we have to challenge here. A BRICS imagination